Okay. Page 3. Would you do these two on page 3?
Before the now.
Yeah. I'd like to know there. You're on now, therefore.
You got it?
Okay, thank you. All right. Since we're all appreciative, I like to share that we all articulate. All right, so we are going to call the meeting to order. It is 6:02, and this is the meeting of the regular board meeting of the Board of Directors of Marina Coast Water District and the regular board of directors for Marina Coast Water District Groundwater Sustainability Agency. And today is June 17th, and after a call to order, we need a roll call. Thank you.
Director Cortez,
Here.
Director Imamura,
Present.
Director Moore,
Here.
Vice President Sherman, here, President Morton.
I'm here, yeah, sorry. Okay, so we will now do the Pledge of Allegiance, which I invite everybody to stand. Martin Roush, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It is now time for oral communications. Anyone wishing to address the board on matters that are not on our agenda may do so at this time. You're limited to 4 minutes. You can comment on any items. They just cannot be on our agenda. If they're on the agenda, you will be able to comment when that agenda item is called. So anybody in the room would like to address us? I don't see any hands going up. And then as to my attendees, how do I get to my attendees? I have 11. These are the attendees. Thank you. And I'm giving the attendees a chance to raise a hand. I'm not seeing any such reactions, so we will close our oral communications from the floor and move on into our presentation item on our board, which is to adopt a resolution number 2024-31 to recognize Antonio Munoz, who is a systems operator 2 with Marina Coast Water District and has been providing services for us for 5 years. And I am going to assume that you are Antonio.
Yes.
And Antonio, I know we're going to read and do a lot of things, but you have brought some guests. Would you like to introduce your guest?
It's my son and daughter.
Hi, welcome. Mary, you need to move. Oh, somebody's phone. Perfect.
And then co-workers.
And co-workers. They're all, we're going to make them all stand at the microphone. But these two are my favorite. Yeah, adorable. Okay, so this is our agenda item. We're going to have a presentation presented first by someone that knows you, and that would be Derek Cray. And then we will listen to public comments also. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Good evening, board, members of the audience here in person and on Zoom. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and we are presenting Antonio Munoz with 5 years of dedication and service to the Marina Coast Water District. So congratulations, Antonio. The background on Antonio. So he started as a system operator 1, June 19th, 2019. And then through his hard work and dedication, he was promoted to a system operator 2, August 22nd, 2022. So during his time here, he's worked on several large in-house rehabilitation projects. 2 of the projects I'll quickly talk about. He's been a part of a lot, but 2 of the ones that are a little bit more recent, one was the Patton lift station rehabilitation. This was essentially a brand new lift station that was done in-house by O&M, and Antonio was a big component to that project. And then the other one was a Booker lift station, and this was converting a dry well into a wet well lift station. There were a lot of safety issues. It's a project that's been on the books for a long time. O&M went in there and took care of it. And again, Antonio was a big component to that project. So he's worked very hard on a lot of those in-house rehabilitation projects. He's also worked very hard on obtaining his certifications. He currently holds, I'm gonna try to get all this right, because there's a lot of certs here, a grade 3 distribution operator, so D3, a T2 water treatment operator, a CWEA collections grade 2, a AWWA backflow tester, and a cross connection specialist. Did I get all that right, Antonio? Antonio, I just want to mention, he is just, has a great attitude. He's always smiling first thing in the morning, all the way till it's time to go home. And he is an extremely dependable employee. And I think that's something that goes to show in this organization. And, you know, a lot of people take for granted when they turn that tap on, that the water's gonna come out, and it's gonna come out clean. When they flush the toilet, that it's gonna flush. And it's not just a 9 to 5 job, or in this guy's case, a 6:30 to 4. It's, you know, 24/7. And even when you're not on call, you can call Antonio at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can call him on Thanksgiving, on the weekends, and he'll pick up the phone and he'll respond. And he does so for his ratepayers and for his coworkers. And having a dependable employee like that is just a huge asset to this organization. And we really appreciate it. You're a pleasure to be around. I appreciate the last 5 years. I know your coworkers do. We look forward to many more. So with that, I'll turn it over to the board and to anyone else that wants to speak. So thank you, Antonio, and congratulations.
Okay, so, do you want to do the resolution and then we'll listen to comments? Is that acceptable?
Sure.
Okay, so we do have a resolution. I'm looking for someone to make the motion for approval.
I'll second. I believe I've heard Vice Chair. Vice
Oh,
President
great,
Schreiber.
I'm sorry.
Move to
I'm,
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. okay, so we have a motion by Vice President Schreiner and a second by Director Moore to approve a resolution, which we have in front of us. And Mr. Schertzinger, do you want to take a vote for us?
She's coming, she's coming.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
No, she wants you to take the vote here.
Oh, wow, you're really organized. I do want to take a vote. You don't, I'm just gonna say this, is that
Yeah.
we don't need to question your capabilities. That's why we're not gonna do comments beforehand. We're gonna take a vote and tell you we're cheering you. And so then we'll talk about you, okay?
All right, Director Cortez,
Yes.
Director Imamura,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner. Yes. President Morton.
Yes, and so now that we have taken a vote on June 17th, it's been resolved by the Board of Directors of the Marina Coast Water District at a regular meeting, today's meeting, at our regular place of business.
Whereas Antonio Munoz joined the district as a System Operator 1 on June 19th, 2019. And whereas August 22nd, 2022, Antonio was promoted to a System Operator 2. And whereas Antonio performs a wide range of duties in both water distribution and wastewater collections and is always ready and able to respond to emergencies.
And whereas Antonio has actively sought out state certifications, currently holds a California Environmental Water Association, CWEA, Collection System Maintenance Grade 2, State Water Resources Control Board, Water Distribution Operator Grade 3, State Water Resources Control Board, Water Treatment Plant Operator Grade 2, and an American Water Works Association Backflow Tester and Cross Connection Specialist certification, and
Whereas Antonio has a positive and cheerful attitude that resonates throughout the department, and he is always willing to lend a hand to his fellow coworkers. And whereas Antonio has been a great asset to the district, and we appreciate and recognize his daily hard work.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Marina Coast Water District does hereby recognize and congratulate Antonio Munoz for 5 years of service to the Marina Coast Water District, hereby presenting him with a gift certificate and a plaque, and wishes him continued success and many more years with the district.
Okay, so Antonio, before we take pictures and present you with the plaque, we're all very anxious to say something about you, and we're gonna start with your coworkers. So,
Well, my name is Renee Magdalene. I work here with Antonio at Marina Coast Water District. Like Derek mentioned, he is a pleasure to work with, easy to get along with, never has attitude, always willing to help us all with whatever it is, whether it's water or sewer or anything, he's always willing to help and never complains.
thank you for being here, Renee, and for
Thank you.
sharing that.
Good afternoon, my name is Jose Rodriguez, and I'm really happy to work with Antonio. He's such a wonderful person and excellent worker. He has a lot of knowledge and his hand, and so I think the whole group, we're so blessed to have Antonio with us.
Thank you, Jose. Would you like to speak?
Please.
I'm just Jose's wife, and I know him since a couple of years ago. His family also, and yeah, I can tell that he's a good person, and for sure he's a good worker. And I'm glad to hear everything about from you. Yeah, so it's a pleasure to be here on this day. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other comments from the public? Would directors? Yes, Director
So-
Moore.
So because the infrastructure that you all maintain is mostly underground or it's behind fence lines, it's hard to see. It's understandable the public doesn't really understand your role, how important your role is. You all play a key role in maintaining public health, and public safety across our district, 41,000 people. So thank you very much for your 5 years of service, and we look forward to giving you your 25-year certificate now.
Yeah, thank you.
So train him well with it.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely. Trainer, well, yes, Vice President Schreiner.
I appreciate all the hard work for the district that you do, but I also appreciate that you bring your family to see how important that is. And some of the things that we do on a day-to-day is for us, like right now, but some of it, we're thinking ahead to when they are grown and they're having their own kids or their own work. So appreciate that you're showing a leadership to your family and valuing your family in that way too.
Director Cortez.
Thank you. I just want to highlight the fact that you took initiative for the certificates and so quickly that you did that. And that's important to show the community, but your family that you want to learn, you want to move on. You really want to, give up to the district what you have. And so that highlights that very well, is how proactive you are. And also that your colleagues for so many years see you as a future leader in the district. And so to me, that shows a great balance of team that's happening in your area, where you have a mixture of youthfulness with experience, and that's combining very well. So kudos to you and your team.
Well stated. Yes, Director Moore.
Hi, Antonio, I'm the newest person here on the board. I'm going on my second year now. I'm kind of interested in your perspectives on, you've been here since 2019, so how do you like working here? I don't want to put you on but
This
feel free to speak.
is a very good workplace. It's a place to where I actually look forward to coming in every morning. Every day is a new training day or learning day. And with the crew we have, everybody gets along so well that it is kind of like family, just coming to work every morning and just watching everybody. And whenever they need help or I need help, thanks to all my coworkers, I've learned a lot. And throughout these 5 years, all my certifications, it's all because of their help too. Any questions we have, we always look up to the older, not older, like in age wise, and they are always willing to help us newer guys with any questions we have throughout the system. Whenever we have a question, since they've been here for so long, they're pretty good with that. So yeah, no, this excellent workplace. I really like it here. I look forward to probably one day retiring from this water district because I just like it.
Thank you.
That's a real endorsement. Thank you. Do either of your children want to just say anything? Do you want to use this time to use this opportunity to say your dad's a great dad or happy Father's Day, a day after it's Father's Day? No? I'll just say, okay, if you agree he's a good dad, raise your hand. Okay, great. Okay. So with that, we've approved the resolution. We have things to give you. I'm going to, this appears to be a better spot for a photograph. Are we doing photographs? Or the front room in front of the logo is probably even better. Is that what you would, you're the person that's,
I'm just gonna snap the pictures and.
Okay.
drop them off to-
yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna actually give it to him over here and then we'll go do pictures so that it's on the camera. Is that acceptable?
Sure.
Okay, so Antonio, I am gonna keep the timer on the table. Simply for the perspective that this is a public meeting and I want to give you the awards in public. And then we will do a photo opportunity elsewhere, but I think it's important, but your children also need to come up here.
Come on, guys, come on.
Because I need to.
You don't wanna hold the flag?
No. Anyway, Antonio Munoz, congratulations and thank you. It's our honor to have you as one of our workers and 5 years. Thank you very much for your service. So we're giving you this lovely drop of water that's been shaped into a square. Very hard to do. And this is our resolution signed by your board. The heartfelt emotions in here came from your coworkers and were captured for us to rely upon. And that is for you to share with your family at home. They'll put it on the wall and you get money. I know that. All right. Anyway, thank you. Yeah, okay, and I do wanna, adjourn the meeting just for briefly so that we can take some photos. Excuse me. So, right at 6:20. We'll take a break until 6:25 so that we have an opportunity to take some photos in front of the logo. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes.
I get you there. Okay.
Am I to make this announcement first? Okay, thank you. Okay, I did say 6:25. So I guess
I don't think we should be calling him on Thanksgiving. Unless we really have.
Yeah, no one wants to, believe me.
I hope we don't have disasters on Thanksgiving.
Even on holidays sometimes.
Yeah.
They're all very good about picking up the phone after hours, but if they're on call or not,
Wow.
hard to find.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got a good team here.
They do have good
Yeah.
teams. Thank you.
Really good.
Okay, so at 6:25, we are going to call the meeting back to order. And next, we will be moving into a public hearing. I wanted to read this announcement to start. That all protests to the proposed Marina Coast Water District water and wastewater rates must be submitted to the board secretary by not later than the close of the public hearing. Any protests submitted after that time shall be rejected as late and shall not be considered. So our board secretary is sitting here at the table and protests must be in writing. So with that, we're going to we're moving on to item 6A, which is to open a public hearing on our district rates, fees, and charges for the Marina Coast Water District service area, our proposed increases. So the public hearing is now open, and we will receive comments and or protests that people want to lodge at this time.
So I'd like to provide,
Okay, so do you want to go to the podium?
so I'd like to know how many minutes you allow for the topic.
Our public comment is 4 minutes, so
And you will notify me 30 seconds.
um,
Good evening, directors. The district has held several public meetings on the rate. And I submit several written questions and comments to the district, and then I received no response from the district. So I request the board to include my written comment into the official record of this public meeting. The board has approved the $8 million cash-free project, and the board also approved this project to be included in the CIP. And so far, the district has spent several $100,000 for start working on this project. But current rate study doesn't include this project in the list of the CIP. I didn't see on the list, so I'd like to know, how this project will be funded by the rate, how many $1 million from different cost centers. So I hope that you will provide the information to the public. The second item I'd like to talk about is the recycled water. The current rate consultant described at the public meeting that this cost center has been running deficit. So it's just a confirmation from the previous rate study, where it said that the district will subsidize about $18 million to the recycle cost center. For the last 4 years, the district has subsidized the recycle cost center about $11 million. So I'd like to know how many millions come from central Marina water and how many millions from all water cost center. And for the next 5 years, the rate consultant proposed to you $7.5 million from capacity fee you receive from CDC side to continue to subsidize the recycled water, provided to the two golf courses. And I'd like to know why the district cannot charge the actual cost of recycled water seaside. And you have not responded to my repeated question that, why you keep subsidize CDC side. And the current rate proposal, you want to increase the recycle only 5%, while you want to increase marina water 20% and all water 15%. So if you look at the proposed rate, recycled water is cheaper cheaper than potable water. So for tier one, for the all community water center, between July 1st, 2025 and July 1st, 2028, their potable water rate is higher than the recycled subsidized recycled water to CDC side. Similarly, for tier two of Central Marine water rate,
30 seconds left.
their rate is higher than the CDC side water. So the cost recycled water $12 per 100 cubic foot. So I asked the board to explain why you keep, subsidize the CDC side, and why don't you exercise your authority under California Constitution to charge a full cost to the CDC side for recycled water? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't get his name.
Peter Lett.
Peter. Okay. Or you wanna wait till after everybody's.
Well, we're having public hearing right now, so, I'm going to continue with, if anybody wishes to be heard. Any other speakers, please? Thank you.
Thank you. I hope after this we can still be friends. So.
We will be.
We will be, that's good. I've been a resident for Marina since about 2018. I love this community and everything, and I'd like to see, things improve. I do see what's out there and everything. So I'd like to take a moment to thank the Monterey County Food Bank for over 65,000 meals they do a month for all the residents with family, kids and everything, for all the help that they do with the community. Now, I'm going to talk about the 325% increase in our water bill proposal. That's going to affect a lot of families in here. Maybe $140, $150 a month may increase, may not be that much to some, but for a lot of our community, that's a lot. When we talk about our elderly that lives on Social Security and other things, and I know a lot of them go through struggling. I go through a lot of the Marina community centers, a lot of their functions. I've been to their Easter egg one. I've been to their Christmas one they do. I love how they do a lot of things around here and tie the community together. What's great is you get to talk to the other people and you get to see the struggles that they go through and meet a lot of the people around here. I'm not saying that an increase in water charges is bad, but the proportion that we're increasing it, doubling it the next month, the next basically starting July 24th, I think is really astronomical for the community that we have and the rates that we have going on. It would be going from the baseline would be $62.91 to $204.93, and that's over a 4-year period. I know here's the problem that I have. When you have a vote and you send the letters in the mail, it'd be great if you had a ballot that was yes or no, if you want to increase it and send it back as a fair one. Because mine, I'll be honest with you, almost got thrown away in Lucky's ads and the Mountain Mike's ads that I got. And I feel like a lot of our demographics that I talk to struggle with English. I work in an area that struggles with English speaking. And on here, the only Spanish that I see is si ustedes necesitan ayudar en español con esta nocia por favor lame this number. So basically you need help to read this. If someone's not understanding English, how do they understand this? How are they going to be able to put this vote back and have their voice heard? Because if I'm looking at this as a Spanish speaker, and that's primary my language, I would not know that I should go to this board meeting. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of people here, especially our Latino community, which is 27%. A lot of them are great hard field workers out there. One of them you also just promoted to the thing. So I'm trying to, I don't see them and I want their voices to be heard too. And I'm not saying that an increase is bad. I think everything goes with inflation, but it's got to be reasonable. And I know that there's a lot of things we got to work on, the water utility. I actually test my water too. That's at 300 parts per million. That's still an acceptable range. Now, I know San Jose, because I test theirs too, is 150 parts per million. So there is things that, yes, we could increase and improve, but does it have to cost that much to meet the standards that San Jose is meeting over there.
30 seconds left.
So, my question is why didn't we have a ballot that actually had a yes or no and send it back? Instead of, how do we know that all these votes actually reached these people and could have got thrown away? And by the turnout I see here, I see a lot of staff members and I see some community members like Peter Lee, who spoke up here, read it, and is actually speaking, this is why I don't see it. I don't get communication back. And I think we all need to be transparent with everyone in Marina, and that's what I'd like to see. So that's why I'm protesting. I'm not protesting the increase in the spending of that much, but I think it's a reasonable amount that should be proposed, not $140.
And have you submitted your written ballot?
Yeah, I submitted
Your,
it.
not ballot, but your protest?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming and addressing us also. Any other comments from people in the room? Thank you.
Hi, President Morgan, members of the board. I'm really here tonight just to support the process. I really appreciate the comments from the public too that I've heard already. I think a lot of people don't understand that you guys have been dealt with historical issues and our water rates, quite frankly, have probably been artificially lower than they should have been for a long time. And although I don't want to see gigantic raises, I understand you're dealing with a problem that needs to be addressed. And so I appreciate what you're doing here tonight. I appreciate the process. You know, many people don't have this Prop 218 opportunity. If you have, for example, a private water company, you're not afforded that opportunity. So I'm very grateful for that as well. I just appreciate the work that you've done in trying to determine these rates in a way as fair as possible. You've had a real challenge. You know, you could have gone with even higher rates, but I understand that you kind of did some back end math to bring the rates down a little bit lower than maybe what was initially proposed. So thank you for that, and good luck tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilmember McCarthy. Thank you. Anybody else in the room? Sir? No. Okay, then looking at our attendees, if anybody that is on Zoom wishes to address the board in this public hearing on our proposed increase in district rates, fees, and charges, please raise your hand. I am not seeing any hands going. What? We do have one. Oh, great. Okay. I was slow. So it looks like it's Renata Perry. If you would like to unmute yourself, we would very much like to hear from you.
She's muted again. She was unmuted a moment ago.
Renata Perry, there you go. Is there something that we need to do? We're good? So go ahead, Renata, just speak loud and we're paying attention. We're still not able to hear you.
Theo?
He's already, Renata is already unmuted, so they should be able to talk.
Okay, thank you. Renata Perry, would you please try again? Okay, well, I'm not sure how to address this.
To the chair?
Yes, please.
You could mention to her, if she can hear us, that there's a telephone number she could call in on her cell phone or landline, which would also reach us. Should be able to, if she so chooses. Obviously, that would take a moment for her to make that call and slog through the things you have to press on the keyboard to get into this meeting by telephone.
So, Renata Perry, if in fact you are able to hear us, we are having difficulty and we are assuming that you are logged on via a computer and that there might be a computer setting that's impeding your ability for us to hear you. I'm going to slowly read the telephone number to you. If you would like to use your cell phone landline and call this number, you will again appear in our attendees list and we'll call on you. So if you're ready, that telephone number is 1-669-900-9128. You also need to insert a meeting ID. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the meeting ID, again, I'll read it to you. It starts 836-8678-0649. For clarity, I'm going to repeat the meeting number for you, which is 836-8678-0649. After entering that, you will be asked on your cell phone for a passcode to enter, and on your keyboard, you will enter 061583. And again, I'm going to repeat that passcode is 061583. The other thing that I do want to affirm for the public and those wishing to participate, while we are listening to your oral comments and you are welcome to present those to us as the board members. We're very interested in hearing what you verbally have to say, but protests must be in writing and they must be delivered here at this address by the time of the close of this public hearing, which will be shortly. And of course, our address is 920 2nd Avenue, Suite A in Marina. So Renata Perry, if in fact you have submitted a written protest, we will have that and we will also, you will be included in the count of the protests. Did a new telephone number come up?
No.
So the telephone number, is that 2294? Is that the new one that popped up? Okay, so Ms. Perry, if you are 2294 on your cell phone, you have now joined the meeting. And we are prepared if you want to unmute. The only thing I want to warn you is that if you also have your computer on, there might be feedback.
If you're in the same room.
Okay, can you?
Yes. Is this Renata Perry?
Okay. Yes, it is. Thank you for your patience and for using this form of communication. I could hear you guys and I was unmuted on my computer, but you guys couldn't hear me. So I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes, so you have 4 minutes starting now. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to also voice my opinion like the previous attendee did, that while we all understand that things do increase in price, I find that this price increase is too much. And it would be nice if, I don't recall getting anything in the mail to vote on. And I also echo what the other caller or attendee said, that a lot of people may not, there may have been a communication barrier with any mailers that you sent out. I also wondered if it was posted anywhere that showed how you justified this increase, so that we could see where the money was going to. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for working through and being able to be heard at our meeting so we could hear what you had to say. Any other?
Thank you.
Any other attendees wishing to address the board in this public hearing? I'm not seeing any other hands. Anybody else has joined us in the room that wishes to be heard? Okay, so we will now close the public hearing, having heard from those wishing to attend and be heard. And at this point, we are asking that our general manager count the protest. Do you need to take a break?
Join me. Just a few minutes.
Yes, okay. So at this point, the protest must be in writing. The public hearing has closed. So the Marina Coast Water District is in possession of all of the valid protests. Anything filed hereafter will not be counted. Do you want some additional time?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we have directed our general manager to give us the count
Okay.
of the protest. And General Manager Bram Schertzinger, not only are you going to give us the count, but would you also inform us of what is the number of parcels that participate, and then the protest, and what is the level of a protest vote that would be affected?
I thought you were asking for more math.
I know, but you've been working on this for months, as have we.
Okay, so pursuant to item 7A, the general manager's will report on result of 218 protest on the proposed increase in rates, fees, and charges for the Marina Coast Water District service areas. Madam President, the number of valid protests was 42. That is for the number of parcels, which is 6,119. Half is roughly 3,060 less, but you need 50 plus 1. The percentage is 0.7% of those voting parcels. That concludes my report.
Okay, so the public has heard that there are 42 protests that have been received by the Marina Coast Water District Board from the 6,119 parcels that have been provided notice. No action is required on 7A after that report. We are now moving to item 8A to consider adoption of a resolution 2024-22 declaring the results of the Prop 218 protest count for the proposed increases in rate, fees, and charges for the Marina Coast Water District service areas. We've had our public hearing. We've closed our public hearing. Vice President Schreiner.
I just have a question on the process. There were a few questions I captured from the public comments. Would you like staff to get with them after the meeting, or how do you want to interact with those questions?
So the questions, so the protests were lodged and they were in writing. And so my assumption is that those questions were also included in the written protest.
Okay.
How does staff feel? There were very technical questions and I wasn't expecting that at this hearing that we would be answering technical questions.
Generally speaking, no, I mean, it's just because it's Prop 218 hearing process doesn't mean that it's the same as any other board meeting in general type questions that come up during the meeting. As far as specific questions that are lodged, I can opine on some of them. It's probably don't want to do it during this hearing as far as the mechanics of Prop 218 and the like. I can follow up with the general manager tomorrow to put together some of those, and then on some of the technical aspects of the rates, we would just need to compile kind of a list of those.
Yeah, so the thing is that this process has been going on in meetings, multiple hearings, where we did have public hearings for people to come and ask the questions in specificity. And so to go back and rehash that at this point, the public hearing was to count the protests. So I think at this point, the one other caveat that I do want to say, that I heard questions also, but we are considering our budget later on in this meeting and comments with regard to our CIP projects and our budgeting. That is an opportunity for the public to ask questions that were very similar to those that were raised in this public hearing, and an appropriate time for us to respond is my observation. Okay. Yes, Director Moore.
So there might be one simple thing that staff could do that would help. One of the concerns I heard expressed by a couple of folks was this process and these increases kind of surprised me. And as the president just noted, we've had a whole series of meetings, but it might be worthwhile for staff to just tell us the dates of those meetings, because, correct me if I'm wrong, all of the same materials we received as board members to help us with our decision-making are currently available on our website as part of the board packets for those particular meetings. So if anyone wishes to review why we came to these particular sets of decisions, of those materials, and I get the public is busy, and a lot of families have two breadwinners working and they don't have a lot of time if they got kids to deal with, yada, yada, yada in the evenings. Who wants to slog through a 200-page rate study? But the material is there if you want to dedicate the time to see how we came to these conclusions.
Exactly, Director Moore. All of those meetings and the presentations by our rate consultant are currently posted on our website. Tab is on the homepage, and the videos are available, and all the materials that were covered. We've been doing these meetings since November.
Correct. I think that's why the president said we had a few meetings on it, so we spent a few hours.
But Madam President, I will take that as direction to staff. We'll answer the questions we can. We'll work with we'll develop a written response to the board, and that response will be available to the public.
Correct. And I think the distinction that's being made is the distinction between a 218 procedure. And right now we're trying to follow a procedure. We've had our public hearing. This is the second public hearing that we've had on the rates. We've done the due diligence of notice. We have complied with what is statutorily required. And we now have taken a protest. We have counted our protest. That has been reported to us. We're now on an action item to consider adoption, declaring the results. And the results we just heard would indicate that we as a board may proceed with the adoption of the rates. So on item 8A, does someone want to? Well, I guess we've declared the results.
8A is a separate resolution confirming basically the report of the general.
And so I have to do a resolution. Thank you for your help. I do appreciate it. Yeah, no, I do.
I
Yes,
just want a
Director
clarification from comment from Vice President Schreiner.
Mhm.
With regard to the oral presentation from Mr. Lay, he indicated there are a number of questions, and I believe I got copied on that email that you sent to staff. And I had some questions about that as well in terms of what the answers were. So can we get a follow-up on those questions? Because I don't, as a board member, and you don't assume things, I don't know if they were ever answered or not. I don't know if there was a direct communication. So how do we do that? I mean,
So we just indicated that staff will be following up and to address answers to questions. So at this meeting is about approving this rate study that we have previously approved as a board and noticed. And so at this point, it's not a discussion of the terms. It is the tally of the protests, whether, and to have significant protests of the percentage, which was 50% plus one vote, that then would send us back, that we as a board could reject this. That would be for us to then go back and relook at the work that we had done previously and rework it. Today, I'm trying to stay on the procedure as I understand from our council, is that we followed the procedure of that the statute and case law lays out and requires. We have followed it correctly. We've had all of the public meetings, discussions, the input from our staff, from our consultants as to what was in the rate study. So now what we are looking at is a resolution simply to say that we had 42 protests, which is less than the 50% plus one to reject the approval. So I need a resolution declaring the results being that we had 42 protests of 6,119 parcels. Director Moore.
I have a question with respect to resolution 2024-22, which is the subject of agenda item 8A. There are, under section 1, subsection 2 and 3, some blank spaces that we couldn't fill in until we got the tally tonight. So there is a possibility for a given parcel that the owner of record of that parcel submits a protest, but the parcel has a house, that owner doesn't live there, he's leased the house out to someone, and the leaseholder also submits a protest, but then that only counts as one count, if I understand the law correctly. So I assume that's why there's two spaces that might have different numbers inserted in them in section 1, subsection 3. I just want to know what numbers we should submit into those, to place in those two blanks before we consider adoption of the resolution.
Okay, so to the report that our general manager has just provided to us, we're on page 9 of our board packet, which specifically states we would be making findings. As a board, there are 6,119 affected parcels. And the district received a total of 42 timely filed written protests. Is that correct?
Oh, we've received 54.
Okay, thank you.
54 about.
So we received a total of 54 timely filed. What that statement means, there were 54 protests submitted prior to the close of our public hearing this evening, June 17th. Now, of the 54, not all of them had the opportunity to file a protest when they didn't have standing, is the word that I.
Or they could have been rejected for a number of reasons because they didn't comply with property.
Okay, so of the 54, how many of the protests
42.
were, so 42 were both timely filed and were protests that were submitted by record owners of parcel. And those included tenants, but they have standing and they are to be counted as a protest. Okay, does
That
answers
my
the question. That is very good. Okay.
Of course, it's also clear that even 54 protests doesn't reach the 50% plus one standard in Proposition 3.
Okay, so with those insertions in the whereas that we received 42 valid protests from record owners appearing in the whereas, and then making specific findings as just recited, do I have a director that wants to move approval for adoption of resolution 2024-22?
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Director Cortez moves approval of the resolution, and our Vice President Director Schreiner seconds. Any other comments or questions by members of the board? Seeing none, the public may comment on the motion. Does anybody wish to be heard? And anybody in the room, this is an opportunity to address the motion that's pending.
I mean, I just feel like the way that was done in this, that you have to submit the protest in a certain way, otherwise it doesn't get, it's just accepted as a yay vote. without assuming that everyone actually got it and sent it in, I feel like it's completely non-transparent. And I'm thinking for a price range, a price hike of that stature, if they truly understand, they would have been here and voicing their opinions. And I don't feel like 42 parcels of the 6,000 would have agreed with this process. I would like to see more of a fair, transparent process of mail-in ballots of yes, I want this, or no, I want to do this. And if it did read the resolution with the board meetings and with the that they had, there could have been a reconciliation of what is actually needed to meet this, the public and the board. But I feel like none of that even occurred.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Okay, so it appears maybe Renata Perry has her hand up again. But I don't know if it just didn't get put down.
I think it's that number.
Okay, so I'm not seeing anybody in the attendees raising their hand to comment. So we're gonna come back to the board. I do want to make a comment, and I do want to make a comment that the Prop 218 process is state law. And there is litigation that has addressed this state law, because in every instance, when you do a Prop 218, there are individuals that feel the process is not fair, or it's not transparent, or it is not, that it may be ineffective in making sure it reaches the constituents that you are required to reach. I want to assure the public is that as a board, we started this process in November, December, where we had an education public meeting that is with our regular board meeting, where we were all fully educated, I don't want to say fully because Prop 218 is very complicated, but the whole process of what's required when you are going to increase rates as a public district. We went through all of that educational process as a district to make sure that all of us understood it as your board of directors that you elect, and to make sure that our staff understood it, because our staff was accumulating the information that then got presented to, we hired an expert to assist us with this process. And the expert that assisted us with this process, we have legal counsel that's assisting us on the procedural matters of what's required. Procedural meaning, how do you do something? What's the required notice? What's the time frame? What is your requirement for meetings? And then we had an expert that had to do with how do you determine what are your rates? What do you need to charge? What is the legally, what's required, how that fits into a process of a document that gets distributed, and participating in those public hearings and allowing the public and us. And I want to assure the public that as your directors, all of us here grilled both our expert that was determining what was a fair increase, what we needed to increase our rates to make sure that we can continue to provide clean water, competent sewage disposal, and to do what we need to do. And if everybody in the room would look at the map behind you, that is the map of the infrastructure that we as a board are required to try as directing in policy setting and rate setting to make sure that this can be maintained and preserved and added to as needed for growth. So I want to make that comment because I understand the individual and the fixed income. I understand there are people that are unemployed, and a $5 and a $2 increase in their water, just the water rate alone, is difficult. I understand that to many, many people. And I want to be sure the public understands that we are not cavalier in saying any amount is acceptable. If it is only, it is, but we have decided as a board in sending this forth, it was fair and it was equitable to everybody. And we looked at this in great detail as to the different types of clients that we have, what our cost needs were, the allocation in our cost centers, to try to make it as fair and equitable to every single client that comes to MCWD. But a great deal of effort went into that. And so I thank the board for indulging me and letting me say that, because I want, it is with all respect that I hear everybody coming. And I still consider those that filed these protests as being people that are our clients, are invested in us as your leaders and this board setting policy and making decisions, and invite you to come and ask the questions at every board meeting as we're making decisions, because your input is invaluable. Thank you. Any other director? There's a hand. Frank. So Frank, we're calling on you as a member of.
Can you hear me okay?
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Frank.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Frank.
Okay, all right, great. Yes, my name is Frank Perry, and I unfortunately got logged in towards the tail end of this meeting, but I've just heard a few statistics, and I hope I'm right. But you're saying that only 42 people responded to this survey out of 1,000, something of that nature. Is that, do I have the numbers correct?
There were 42 protests. That's correct, of 6,119 parcels.
Yeah. So do you honestly feel that there are, some 5,000 people that are happy with this type of increase? Just because I just feel that there's a disconnect on how this vote or this document that's floating around, that my wife and we didn't get a copy, I can tell you that. And also there's a language, possible language issue. I'm in the language business. And if you have received that low of a percentage of responses, I find it very, very hard to believe that there are that many people that say, okay, no problem. I'll take the 240% increase or whatever someone said earlier, and just kind of write it off. I think there's some process improvement here that can be made as to how you're communicating this information to the homeowners, because it just mathematically it doesn't even sound feasible that people are willingly not disappointed with this kind of increase. I mean, I don't know of other water districts in California, for an example, that are having these types of increases. Maybe that would be good to know from this consultant that you hired, to see how we stack up to other like communities within the Monterey area or the California in general. I mean, we all know about the water shortages that we've had over the years here in California. Hopefully it's getting better, but I just find it hard to believe that because of such a low response that we can just kind of say, okay, that's it. The board approves and that's it. It just doesn't smell right, So anyway, those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Frank, for coming forth and giving your comments. I don't see any other attendees raising their hand. Any other directors wish to make comments before we take a vote? Okay, roll call vote.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Cortez,
Yes.
Director Imamura,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner,
Yes.
President Morton.
Yes. So the resolution does pass. And we are now moving to 8B, which is to consider adoption of a resolution as to CEQA determination that proposed ordinance number 63, changing our district rates, fees, and charges, are exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act, and that the board authorizes the general manager to file a notice of exemption with the Monterey County Clerk and with the state clearinghouse. And Mary Legasco, their CPA financial director, is going to lead us to start.
I actually do not have anything prepared. I was gonna read the staff recommendation, which you just did. So the next item for the board, which you just read, to consider the adoption of resolution 2024-2023, which is the CEQA determination that the proposed ordinance 63, changing the district rates, fees, and charges for marina and ord area is exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act, and that the board authorizes the general manager to file a notice of exemption with the Monterey County Clerk and with the state clearinghouse.
Any questions? Director Moore.
Yes, please, thank you. So, a couple questions for Mr. Gaskin. The rates, fees, and charges in here, are they a product of the rate study that we, the board, and you, the staff, have been engaged with since last November?
Yes, that is correct.
And in these rates, fees, or charges, do you see any 200% increase in anyone's fee?
Madam President, can you stay focused on this?
Yeah, I was just going to, my mouth was just starting on that. So we're right now not on that. So we're
Sorry.
focused on an
Sorry,
ordinance
you're right.
that it is
Yes,
CEQA
yes.
exempt.
Never mind.
So I will move that
Second.
we adopt the resolution determining that Prop ordinance 63 is exempt under California CEQA.
Sorry.
So I have a
Madam
first
President, I jumped ahead.
Second.
and I have Tom.
Yeah.
Oh, he's second.
Okay.
Whatever.
Director Moore, second. So I have a first and second for the exemption from CEQA. Is there any other comments by board? Okay, I'm gonna go to the public. Is there any public that wishes to be heard on the action being taken as being exempt from CEQA and making that finding? I see no hands going up. So with that, I will ask the clerk of the board to take a vote.
Director Cortez,
Yes.
Director Imamura,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner,
Yes.
and President Morton.
Yes, so that resolution passes. We find that it is CEQA exempt. We are now moving on to 8C, which is to consider waiving the reading of the ordinance number 63 in its entirety and consider second reading and adoption of ordinance number 63, approving the new district rates, fees, and charges for Marina Coast Water District's service area. And my assumption is that any motion would require a reading of all of the section numbers appearing as what we're modifying. Is that correct? Okay. Does someone want to make a motion as to 63 and waive the reading?
Also move that we move approval of ordinance number 63 and waive reading of the ordinance in its entirety and ordinance amending section 6.08.010, 6.08020, 6.08030, 6.08040, 6.08050, 6.08060, 6.80080, 6.80090, 6.80.
You're reading those incorrectly, 08.
6.08.100, 6.08.110, 6.12.020, 6.12.030, 6.12.040, 6.12.050, and 6.16.010 of the district codes, changing rates and fees and charges for water and sewer services for the Marina Coast Water District's service areas.
Second.
Did I get it right?
Yes, there were, yes.
Okay. There might have been a brain glitch in there or something.
Let me go back to,
So, Madam President, if I may, we did, make a minor correction from the first reading of the ordinance. And that, it's a minor typographical error, specifically, the reference to the marina and port service area. This was changed to service areas, plural. When the district last updated the ordinance, it only covered the central marina area since port was under Fora. And the ORD rates were approved by a resolution, so we had to correct the service area into service areas.
so, okay, so what I'm understanding is that it is just a technical correction.
Yes.
That where you had area, you've now made that plural
Yes.
areas
Yes,
in any place where that appeared, because it's both Ford and Marina.
yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that is technical. It doesn't require us to do a whole another first reading because it's just that one technical issue.
That's
Okay,
council's opinion. That's, just want to get that.
so
out there.
council is affirming that as being correct for us to proceed. This is we have a motion and a second
Second with that correction.
with the correction, and your motion stands with the,
Yes.
Point of order, this, as I understand, we're really doing two steps. There's a motion to waive the reading, and then once that.
oh, you can't do them together. Thank you for the
You
clarity.
will want to break it.
Okay, all right, so Director Moore,
Move to waive the reading.
of the sections that you read.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a first and a second. Any comments by directors? Okay, I don't think there are any comments by the public. We already asked for public comment. Okay, I think we're ready for a vote. This is to waive the reading.
Of the entire ordinance.
Yes.
Correct. Director Imamura,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Dr. Cortez,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner. Yes. And President Morton.
So yes, we have unanimously agreed to waive the reading of the ordinance number 63. It's in its entirety, and instead have referred to it by code sections. It is now, do I have a motion to approve the ordinance number 63, approving the new district rates, fees, and charges?
Move that as long as you don't make me read the damn thing again.
No, we've already done the reading. So is that a motion?
Yes, that is a motion.
Second.
And we have a motion by Director Moore, a second by Director Imamura. Is there any comments from directors? Okay, any public comment on the motion pending? Mr. Lay, do you want to?
Good evening, directors. The district that I sent out thousands of notice to customers. And then at the last board meeting, you introduced the ordinance number 63, which is different from the notice you sent out previously. And there are no explanation how you change, you change from the notice to ordinance number 3. Anyway, at this meeting, you're supposed to adopt the number 63. But I read through and it's different from the ordinance number 3 you introduced at the last meeting. And you gave section 6.0806 to be effective date, different from the notice, different from the first reading, and different from second reading. Section 6.121050 waste collection and rates. You describe Appendix D, but you never provide us, information on the Appendix D. And the throughout several public meetings, the rate consultant, describe with the new method how you want to charge the sewer rate based on flow base. But in the order number 53, there's no description on how you want to charge it. The previous description on the rate concern fairly clear. He said, okay, we only charge you for the indoor water usage. For outdoor water usage, we're not going to charge you for the sewer flow base fee. And the consultant said, okay, you need to install a second meter to measure the outdoor water use so you don't be charged. And the ordinance number 3 very confusing, not clear, just, asking for challenges. Because there's no way the district can be legally and permitted to charge for the outdoor water usage. Because the district does not collect the outdoor water usage. The district does not convey the outdoor water usage to the Montreal One water. I feel sad for the water district. Instead of using the current method to make it easy to charge customers, you try to invent a new method, and you didn't give out proper and clear instruction to the customer. So ask Monte One Water why they didn't charge me on the sewer flow system, because they're smarter than us. They charge based on the occupation of the here at the fixed fee and for the entire South Syrian County. So they smart, and we try to change it to a flow based, and you didn't give out the proper information to the customer, and also you implied that in the ordinance you stated you charge the customer based on the water reading. That's not legal. So I ask that you seriously consider that, because it's too late to change, but you better inform the customer that you cannot charge for outdoor water usage. And section 7, that's regarding the monthly charge for the fire hydrant at the Marina City Council meeting on June 4th, 2024. MCWD general manager stated, oh no, this section 7C only applies to the public fire hydrant behind the meter. So I want to repeat his statement, but if you look to the ordinance, it doesn't say that. So
It's
you need
time.
to consider those facts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any other comments from the public? I don't see any hands in my attendees. Anybody in the room? No. Okay, coming back to the board. Any other comments or questions from our board members? No. Okay, so we will take a roll call vote on the adoption of adoption of ordinance number 63 in its entirety.
Director Cortez,
Yes.
Dr. Imamura,
Yes.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner, yes, and President Morton.
Yes. Okay, so we have just adopted our new district rates, fees, and charges to the Marina Coast Water District service areas. And that is set forth in the now adopted ordinance number 63. Thank you. We're moving on to agenda item 8D, which is consideration to adopt resolution for our district rates, fees, and charges for recycled water services. I'm sorry, I thought it's something. So it's regarding adopting rates, fees, and charges for our recycled water service. And our financial director, Mary Lou Gasca, is going to present this to the board.
So as you read, the next item for your consideration is adopting resolution 2024-24 to adopt district rates, fees, and charges for recycled water. The recycled water rates were part of the 2024 rate study conducted by Hildebrand Consulting and was approved by the board last April 29, 2024. Prop 280 notices were mailed out May 3, and we conducted a public hearing today, June 17. And with that, staff is recommending that the board approve resolution 2024-24 to adopt the district rates, fees, and charges for recycled water service.
Questions?
Just a
Director
question.
Moore.
So I'm just looking at the schedule for the upcoming year. The basic cost for recycled water per 100 cubic feet is $7.10, correct?
That's correct.
And that is, correct me if I'm wrong, that's higher for HCF than tier 1 and tier 2 of the marina, central marina water fees. It's higher than the commercial water fees, not.
I don't have the other schedules.
So tier 2 effective July 1st, 2024 in Marine, Central Marina. Tier 2 is $7, so recycled water is getting more expensive per 100 cubic feet. The uniform rate for multifamily and non-residential is $4.64, so way higher than what commercial folks are paying. And the only rates I see in our system for potable water that are approximating that is the uniform rate for multifamily in your community is roughly the same. And tier 2 is a little bit higher.
So is that your question?
Yeah, just looking for verification.
That is, or I need to double check your,
My assertions?
yes,
Yeah, okay. Well,
but the rates are all provided.
I'm only asking a question because I heard an assertion from the public that recycled water is way cheaper than potable water everywhere in our district. Don't believe that's an accurate, 100% accurate assertion.
Okay, so
Thank
do you need affirmation from our financial director
Well,
at this meeting? Or was her assertion that the information that you have read from our budget package by comparison to page 32 in the water rates is accurate?
Well, I don't know, should I not have an expectation that our CFO has every single number she's ever entered into her computer system memorized? and
Okay, so-
completely at hand? So, no, that's fine.
So your question is answered.
Yes, my question.
Okay, any other director have any questions on this item, which is to adopt our district rates, fees and charges for recycled water services? And I've lost track, we don't have a motion as yet. I need
Move
a,
to approve.
so Director Cortez, I will second, we have a first and a second. And now on the motion, any comments by directors? Seeing no hands, any comments by the public? The motion is to adopt our district rates, fees and charges for recycled water service as set forth on page 32. There is a schedule. Any comments by, don't see anybody in the room, by the public? If you do wish to address the board, now would be the time to raise your hand in the Zoom, and we will call on you and you have the opportunity to address this item, this motion. Okay, I've talked long enough. Nobody's hands are going up. So we will bring it back to the board and we will take a roll call vote.
Director Imamura,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Dr. Cortez,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner. Yes. And President Morton.
Yes, so we have just adopted unanimously our district rates, fees and charges for our recycled water service, which concludes that matter. We are now moving on to item 8E, which is to consider adopting a resolution to adopt the Marina Coast Water District budget for our fiscal year 2024-2025. And secondly, also to consider whether we want to waive section 6.08.070 of the district code for fiscal year 2024-2025. And may I verify with our council, that would be two separate motions and actions. Waiver of the requirement, we can do it in one.
This is waiving a condition within the ordinance itself that is discretionary for the board. It's not.
Okay, so it can be as part of the budget
We're
approval.
not replacing a section of the ordinance that goes through the waiver and second reading.
Okay, so what's being asked of the board tonight is if we want to waive application of that board policy, which is a set aside policy to set aside I can't find the percentage. 25% of our fixed charges for infrastructure. For capital.
long-term water supply.
Okay, for long-term water supply. Thank you. It's in here. I highlighted it, but you'll be darned if I can see that yellow pen right now. Okay, so we're being asked if we want to waive that 25% mandatory requirement, and then to approve the budget. And all of us have been provided with this budget. It's not the first time we've seen it. So is there discussion, questions? Or let me ask first our financial director, is something you want to present to us that we don't know?
No, ma'am, I don't have a presentation for you tonight. I just want to say that the proposed budget was reviewed by the Budget and Engineering Committee twice. And it was presented to the entire board, back in May 2024. I've also provided a list of changes from the last version of the budget workshop, budget document that you saw during the budget workshop. I do have one additional correction that was just brought to my attention this morning. You should all have a yes, so that's page 5 of the budget. So we are doing a minor correction, just adding the paragraph. So the line, these wells now provide the district with its current water source. We are amending it to read, these wells now provide a portion of the district's current water source. So that's all I have for you tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Yes, I just making sure. So we have a new page 5. You have highlighted on page 5 the sentence that's being omitted. And to the left in the margin, you have given us the sentence that will now be inserted. And that sentence reads, these wells now provide a portion of the district's current water source. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. Yes, Director Moore.
So, primary rates are water and wastewater in this budget that are the vast majority of our constituents are concerned about. And these rates, you can confirm that these rates are based on both the rate consultants' work that you've seen presented multiple times since December. I'm not going to ask you to rehash their work. And it's also based on the Prop 218 process, as good or bad as that is from the perspective of the public. So it's all based on that. People are going to see some increases in the bills, but there may be some folks who don't see too much of an increase, others who might see a little larger increase. My recollection of what our rate consultant was telling us. So you can confirm all of that. It's in at least this upcoming year's budget. And also that Prop 218 process we've just approved doesn't set budget for the following fiscal year, starting next year in July. That'll be another decision-making process for this board to go through.
That is correct. So I have incorporated the results of the 2024 rate study, and we did have to do a little bit of adjustment as well. Like what I've discussed during the budget workshop, we are seeing higher increases on some of the cost line items that were that the rate study had a lower assumption on. So we do every year. So the 2024 rate study is just a guide. It's a guide for us, but every year we do incorporate the results of that, and we do factor in current situations and current numbers, and that's what we present to the board for budget adoption.
And just for clarity to the public, what I just heard you say is, in a few cases, the rate consultant thought that we might see 3% inflation in medical costs, but instead you've been observing 5% increases. In other words, inflation's hitting us in a variety of ways.
So the 2024 rate study, as I explained during the budget workshop, it's looking at a 5 to 10 year forecast. So we were the rate study consultant in all of its assumptions, did work with us. We were very conservative. So even if we're seeing a lot of, big spikes this year, next year, we did not want to use that number for the 5-10 year forecast, right? Because that is like, we are trying to smoothen it out, and it's a 5 to 10 year forecast. So we were very conservative in our assumptions with the 2024 rate study.
And we are hoping that 2 or 3 years from now, inflation won't look like it has in the last year or two.
Yes, and we will adjust the numbers as we, year
As we
by
go
year,
into
as
that
we.
process.
That's correct.
So, and are you saying that despite the numbers that we approved in the Prop 218 process, we're not required to charge those numbers? That's just an upper limit on what we can charge based on your future work and future budgets, which has to be based on our actual costs.
The board has the discretion, like the 5-year rate study is we are legally allowed to charge that much, but it is the board's discretion every year. If we see a good year that we don't implement the rates that were adopted.
So if, for instance, our general manager decided to start working for us for free, then
Or if we were successful on the Cal-Am lawsuit, so all that legal revenue would flow back.
well, we got it there. That would be even better. That would be.
I had to take a shot.
Yeah.
Now,
Not very
if our
tough.
financial situation is better, then that makes absolute sense for us to reduce the amount of rates that we're charging. And the board has that.
Maybe this is a question for legal counsel. We're pretty much obligated to set our rates and fees based on our actual costs. We can't just decide willy-nilly, well, our actual costs are $20 per person, but we're gonna charge 40 just for grins and giggles.
No, but I need to be careful because when we talk about its actual cost of service, cost of providing the service, so within that definition, it's not just exactly how much it costs to have water come out of the tap. You're allowed to collect reserves, you're allowed to collect for debt payment, you're allowed to have kind of a variable part to put aside for costs that fluctuate. You can't just necessarily pass through. So it's not just as simple to say that it's a 1-for-1.
But there is a small degree of discretion that we have looking at how to charge now versus how charges might be in the future.
That's fair.
Thank you.
Did you have questions?
No, earlier I missed the staff presentation, thank you, so I was gonna mention the amendment and
Questions, Director Moore?
Regarding the process and the amount, I think you indicated that, what is it, the Finance and Budget Committee, you kind of go over this.
We
So,
grill them.
right, so I had a situation,
They're laughing though. They're just,
Yeah.
They are the grill.
they are the ones that are grilled. Those two get grilled, yes.
Well, yeah, like the toast.
I guess this is one of those things where you have to know to ask the right questions. And I guess this past fiscal year, I had requested to go to a aqua conference. But then I was told, well, there's no money in the budget. I'm thinking, well, how did you know? How do you formulate a budget when you don't know or anticipate that people might want to go to conferences? And so, me being fairly new, I like to go to these, and I learned a lot of stuff. This last one that was held in Monterey, I learned, and there's also a special districts conference, I understand too. So how is that? How do we make sure that we have enough? And because I wasn't asked, or I don't think the board was asked as a whole, is anyone interested in going to these conferences? Because we got to make sure we got money in the budget to go to those. And I know the general manager, it must be by default that he or she would have enough and they would go. So how is that done for board members?
So normally our process is, we have hundreds of line items. So our basic process is to look at 2 to 3 years of historical cost
Right.
and go from there. And if I have information from staff and departments of, new things that they want to do or, plans for the next fiscal year, that I do incorporate that. And I did receive, your request of increasing the budget for board, conferences. So,
For me or just in general?
Yes, from you.
Okay, so that's in retrospect, but I'm just wondering,
yes, so I do. look
could
at
there have been something moved over from another
So
budget line
can I
item?
get us back onto, we're looking at the prospective budget. So whether something
Well, I'm
could,
looking at process. How did we come to this?
so I want to
make
stay
sure-
on the process, not on whether we're amending our. last
No, we're not. I'm just asking.
So
Trying to
those
keep-
numbers
So
were-
in the future, if we find that there's a shortfall in there and we say, well, we don't have enough money for X
So
board
maybe it's
member to go, can you move some money over from another cost
Yes.
center? So it could have been done.
It would
That's what
be,
I'm wondering.
so there's a process to amend the budget.
Yes.
So we establish a budget. What we're being asked to do today is to approve the budget. That has been proposed, that this is our second time.
Right,
looking at
right.
it.
No, I understand that, but I
But
just want to know what
Just
the process.
if there's additional staff comes to us with an additional change, we have before us, an action item is whether or not to approve a budget amendment.
Mhm.
So for any director or for any staff, if there's a problem or an issue that is not taken care of within the budget or addressed within the budget, the board has the discretion on a motion to amend the budget and make a change. So there is a process.
Why, I'm just wondering, why would we have to go through that process? Why couldn't it have be done at a staff level? Because let's say something is at last minute, like in 2 weeks, and then, oh, well, we have to wait till the next, well, by that time, the activity is gonna be over.
Okay,
with.
so I appreciate that, Director
Yeah.
Romero, but specifically, this board has limited through its policies and through ordinance, the actions of staff. So we don't have those purse strings. I know at other organizations, the general manager has a certain amount of leeway inside of a budget to be able to move money around. But all that being said, coming into the budget, we workshopped with the board, we added money into that line item, so there was additional funds there. If there isn't sufficient funds, and I'm speaking globally to staff and to the board, if there's something that, and staff knows this, if they need, especially some of them, if you need more money in the line, we bring it back to the board and we adjust the line. So, but there's a second, and this is new last year, was the mid-year adjustment. So as we move into December and January, we're adjusting our budget to close the year, and that's another opportunity for a board member to bring up where are we at? Do we have enough funds? These are the things that I'd like to accomplish, and we can move funds to address those issues.
Is your question answered?
Yeah, well, like I said, I have to learn as I go along, and like I said, you gotta ask the right questions.
And you are. So we're trying to make sure you're.
Kind of, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, you are. You are. Any other questions by director? Director Cortez.
So just to clarify for the public, that's section 6.08.070. We have waived it before, right? It's something that we normally do. So it's nothing surprising or nothing because of the rate study or Prop 2.
Every year. It's been waived.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That was it.
At some point, the board may consider.
So
removing that.
I have asked that be agendized in budget and engineering because it has been waived, at least since I have been here. So,
Madam President, we'll bring that to the executive.
oh, the executive. I had the wrong committee, same day.
They all, same time.
Sorry. So yes, that has been brought to the attention. Okay. All right. Any other, is your hand up, Vice President?
I was thinking of making a motion
Okay, please.
to adopt the Marine Coast Water District budget for fiscal year 2024 and 2025 and waive section 6.08.070 of the district code for fiscal year. As amended, of course. As amended, right, for that one sentence. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. We have a motion. Any other comments by board members? Okay, seeing none, I will now ask if there's any comments in the room. Anybody wish to address the board? nobody stepping forward, I will now look at my attendees. I see that I'm getting there.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so Mr. Yant, we are ready to hear from you. You have your hand raised. You have 4 minutes. If you will unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, President Morton and members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And the first thing I would comment on is I just want to compliment the staff at MCWD for what I think is the best budget I've seen so far in terms of its presentation, its detail, even its graphics, and its organization is a very good budget. And I think outside of maybe Clerk Paula and Director Moore, I've probably been here, seen 20 years of these budgets. And this one is just a very excellent presentation. So I want to compliment staff for this excellent product. There are 2 items and projects in the CIP. I would just like to encourage your action on this next year. It's a little unclear how far out they went in the CIP and exactly what pieces are being accomplished this year versus future years. But 2 very important projects, and speaking again, particularly for the Dunes project in Marina, there's a 30-inch sewer line down First Avenue, page 115 of the CIP. That's a very important project to continue moving forward with. Obviously, as the Dunes improves First Avenue going south, it's very important that sewer line be put in for the service of all of the properties down First Avenue, not just for the Dunes, but Arts District, MST, and so forth. Next then is page 106, which is the relocation of the maintenance yard and demolition of those buildings. It's very important to have those dilapidated buildings removed from that site. And obviously relocation of the yard to a more suitable site in the jurisdiction of MCWD. That obviously doing so creates opportunities for future reuse of that site that's a lot more compatible with the Dunes housing project all around it. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and those are 2 critical projects that we see for the Dunes in South Marina. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yant. And any other people wishing to address the board as attendees? I don't see any other hands being raised. We will bring it back. I'm not really sure there was a question in that with regard to the project OS 0210 and OW 2401. I think it was just comment that the Dunes is looking forward to us moving those forward. So I'm not going to ask that the questions be addressed. And any other comments by board members? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote on the motion to approve the budget and to waive the section 6.08.070.
Okay, Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Cortez,
Yes.
Director Imamura,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner,
Yes.
President Morton.
Yes, so we have now approved the budget, which is one of the big responsibilities of us as a board to do annually. I thank staff for their work with all of us as directors and making sure that we are educated and making wise decisions. Thank you. Okay, so I see that you want to move the meeting along, Mr. Hertel. So we are now on item 8F.
Madam President, directors, as a aforementioned participant of the Grilled, I'm bringing before you a recommendation to adopt resolution 2024-26 to amend the construction contract for the A1, A2 Reservoir and BC Boosters Pump Station project with Anderson Pacific Engineering Construction, Inc. for the California Avenue Pipeline construction work. If you guys remember, this was the item that we discussed at the special meeting in December to approve the purchase of the pipe materials. This is for the construction. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Does someone want to make a motion to,
So moved.
Second.
so we have a motion to approve and a second. Any comments from directors? Is that-
Just comment, a real brief comment. Thank you for making sure that we do not have a total failure of existing line. I don't even like to see that in the staff report, but I really appreciate how hard the staff has to work to make sure we don't have anything like that, but it's continuous quality service. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion. If anybody wishes to address the board on the motion, anybody in the room? I didn't see anyone coming forward. Anybody in our attendees? If you wish to address the board on the pending motion, please raise your hand. I'm giving you a minute to do so. Seeing no hands, we'll bring it back to the board for a vote.
Director Cortez,
Yes.
Director Imamura,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner,
Yes.
President Morton.
Yes, so the motion passes, which means the project gets to go forward. Okay, we are now on item 9. And item 9 is our consent agenda. And I think that we are going to pull item 9E
From the agenda.
from the agenda, correct? Okay, so item 9E is removed from your consent agenda. So we're dealing with 9A, B, C, D, and F. Does any director wish to pull any of those items for separate consideration? Is your hand up? Yes, Director Imamura.
Well, 9B, I'm going to abstain from that since I was not at that meeting. And then I'd like to discuss 9D as David.
Okay. So does anybody want to move approval of items we have remaining on the consent agenda? Items A, the check register. C, prepayment of the Marina Coast CalPERS obligation. And F, which is to amend the capital improvement program budget to adjust funding for the MGM Office Park B site improvement project and solar array.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second for approval of item A, C, and F. Any comment from anybody in the room? Any person wishing to address the motion for approval on those consent items as attendees? I'm talking so you can raise your hand. No hands are going up. May we have a roll call vote?
Director Imamura,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Cortez,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner,
Yes.
President Morton.
Yes. So those items are now passed. So with regard to items B, which is the draft minutes of the regular joint board GSA meeting May 20th, I will move approval of the draft minutes.
Second.
So we have a first and a second on approval of the minutes. And any comment? Any comment? Seeing no comment, seeing no hands being raised on the motion, may we have a roll call vote on approval of 9B, approval of the minutes?
Director Cortez,
Yes.
Director Imamura,
Abstain.
Director Moore,
Yes.
and Vice President Schreiner,
Yes.
President Morton.
Yes. Okay, so the item remaining on our consent agenda is item D, which is to amend the professional services agreement with Rush Communications Consultant and to approve, it's amending the 2023-24 contract, and then also to approve a 2024-2025 professional services agreement. And our financial director, Mary Legaska, do you want to give us comments, and then we will take questions? I know you had some particular questions, Director Imamura.
So the item before you is staff is requesting that the board amend the 23-24 contract with Rush Communication for an additional $38,306.78. And staff is also recommending that the board approve the 24-25 professional services agreement with Rogers Communication for $187,768. And the scope of services is provided in your attachment.
Okay, and so Director Imamura, I'll let you start with your questions.
Great, yeah, so I had a question, so then this 38,000 plus, this is an increase or an addition to the current, for the duration of this fiscal year, right? To the end of this month.
Yes, sir.
So, and that was because of the extra time or whatever meetings.
Yes, so we did end up doing more public engagement in relation to the Prop 218. And
218, okay, that's what I was wondering.
that was not part of the original contract.
Right, and I guess attendance at those meetings, I guess, as well.
Yes.
Okay, and so then for the next fiscal year, this 187 plus, how much over, what is it over the current? Was there some inflation factor or how was that factored in? How was that, in other words, how did that figure come about?
So the breakdown should be on page, I believe there was it should be on page 110.
Oh, 110?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't see.
So there's a 3% inflation increase factored in. And I believe we are requesting some video costs for our some of our programs for fiscal year 24-25. So that's also factored in.
Oh, okay, so essentially it was just, and then, okay,
So from the-
there's some expenses, whatever.
In the 23-24 contract, 3% increase, and then additional video costs we requested. So that's how we came up with 187,000.
And is this pretty typical for, you know, a public relations type firm, these costs?
Everywhere I've been.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other directors have a question? Does someone want to make a
So
motion?
moved.
So we have a motion and a second by Vice President Schreiner. Any further comments by board members? Nothing. So we have a motion to approve both the amendment to the 23-24 professional services agreement and for approval of the contract for 2024-25 services. Anybody in the room wishing to address the motion? No comments, and anybody that's an attendee that wishes to address the board on our proposed, on our motion for our contract with Rush Communications. Okay, seeing none, we'll come back to the board for a roll call vote.
Director Nomura,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Cortez,
Yes.
Vice President Schreiner. Yes. President Martin.
Yes, so that motion passes unanimously with those two budgets for both years being adopted. Okay, we are now finished with our consent agenda. And yes, do I
We're
miss
about to head
something?
to closed session, and I know my staff's been here for a long time.
Oh, you have?
May I take a moment and do the general manager's update before we go into closed session?
Yes, of course.
You all are looking.
Oh, something's happening.
So board staff and members of the public, I want to take a moment to publicly thank our Director of Administrative Services. I know staff has been working tremendously hard to produce a number of documents tonight that you approved. But specifically, I want to thank Mary. She and her staff have taken the yoke in this case and produced a budget that is above board. And one thing that you don't see is the reconciliation of $36 million. And for 3 days, I didn't sleep. And Mary has done it. She has brought this home and done a 218 for the first time, an ordinance for the first time. And so I can't express my gratitude enough for her work and her time, her family's time. And so a small token of my appreciation is Sonoma County Pinot Noir. So there's that. The other
From
part,
our, okay.
hold on. It's going. So so as an ex-submariner and a Navy man, I don't have a command coin. That's not really our thing here. But in my family specifically, my great-grandfather, who is the CEO of Beecher Peak Peck and Lewis, started a tradition of giving a silver dollar as recognition for a great deed, something, an effort above and beyond. And so with that, I am bringing you into the tradition of my family. This is a 1921 Morgan silver dollar as a thank you.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Probably worth more than $1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the board echoes those sentiments. Okay, so we're going to move on to public comment on closed session items. Anyone wishing to address the board on closed session items, now would be the time to do so. This is a conference with regard to real property negotiation with Armstrong Ranch property. See nobody in the room. I see no hands going up. So we're not going to, we're done with our comments and we will now adjourn into closed session.
We go over there. We can go into my office.
Okay, so
We're gonna move. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You need to? We won't see you when we come back?
okay, that's what I was just trying to figure out.
They can say if they want to go, they can go.
Well, that's where I was just going. So we will, our agenda will have reportable action on our closed session items and then informational items, which you just heard the most important one from our general manager. So I thank you all for your participation in what are very difficult procedures and processes and a budget. That is the conclusion. And thank you to all of you for your contribution. And especially you, Mary, for leading us through it in the financial realm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will see you tomorrow. Yes.
Oh, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow.
Same bad time, same bad channel. We're in my office.
In your office, okay, and I agree with Director Cortez, I'm just gonna make a pitch about.
Yeah.
No, that's fine, take 5 minutes. I'm sorry. I got sidetracked on trying to excuse, taken.
There you go.
Okay, so we came back from closed session. The meeting, there is no reportable action taken during closed session. So now we are on item 13 of our agenda, which is informational items. And we did have part of a general manager's report. The most important part, is there anything else you wish to add?
Only that the district will be receiving Leadership Monterey County on the 28th at 11:20. We'll be talking to I would say the young up and coming, but the county executive officer will also be in that group, and a few other folks. We'll be hosting them here to talk about the district. I've asked President Morton to come and give a brief welcome. And then we're taking them over to A1A2 and opening up a tank, and I'm gonna stuff them all into one of the tanks.
And lock
it. And tell them all if I don't have an easement from PSC and county, anyway, no.
That's fine.
But we're
That
gonna
this is
go into-
Biosphere 3.
Yeah, we're gonna let them into the tank so they can have an experience that nobody else in the community is gonna have, so.
That's exciting.
What's the date again?
28th, Friday the 28th.
They're in. So it's like a giant stage inside.
What time?
From 11:20 to 12:45. So they'll be here, have lunch, they're bringing their own lunch, they have their own bus. Give them a brief introduction to the district, kind of what we're doing, wax poetic about our regional issues and concerns and the frames that we operate within, and then throw them back on the bus, drive them over to A1, A2, which should be back in swing because we have the easement from CSU and PG&E, thank to your board above. And we are now moving again. So A1, A2, we're waiting for our schedules, and thank you, board, for approving California road work. That is fantastic, and we'll get all that done and buttoned up. And then also, above and beyond all of the work that Mary has done on the budget and the Prop 218, she and I are all, and on the 218, she and I are finishing the bond documents for the bond, which we will issue in August. The board will see that at the July. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that thorough report. Committee and board liaison report. Since our last meeting, I think we just have M1 Water board member, Director.
Thank you very much, President Morton. So the Monterey One Water Board has met on both the 23rd of May and the 3rd of June. Guess what? It's also budget season for them. So no surprise, that was the topic, primary topic of those two meetings. Of note, Director Rocha from Salinas had previously expressed a concern about the low income assistance program that we've established out of penalties and interest for late payments. The board had previously given direction to budget $200,000 for that program. Our initial experience with it was that not very many people applied, and we weren't using up much of the 200,000. So staff found a way to open up the rules for qualifications. The original rule was you had to have qualified, pre-qualified for the PG&E low income program, and now they've added some bells and whistles to that. So we were starting to get, I think they had committed about 150,000 of the 200,000. Now you understand that because we're going to the property tax records, those low income assistance, that 150,000 was only going to people who own property. And quite rightfully, Director Rocha said, well, what about tenants? They don't own any property, and they too have some low income needs. How will we deal with that? So the upshot of those discussions was that staff has been directed, once we are through the process of putting the fees onto the property tax records, which going forward has to happen by a date certain each year to the county tax assessor's office, we'll run a low income program for property owners, but there'll be real firm dates on that because it has to, the discount, if you will, has to appear on their property tax bill. For tenants, once we get that process done, then we have another tranche of money, and the board has agreed to go to 300,000 total out of these penalties. It's not ratepayer money at all. They're developing a separate program to be able to help low-income tenants who probably aren't paying, well, won't be paying directly.
That's the question. There you go. What's the nexus?
It's going to be in their rents. One way or another, the owner of the property who's renting to those tenants is paying that bill, and you can bet they're recovering it somehow from the tenant. So that program hasn't been designed yet, but staff has been given direction to think about designing such a program, and they've been essentially authorized to put in the budget another 150,000. Not sure exactly where we're going to end up once we hit the deadline for property owners, low-income property owners. So that's just the concept behind this low-income assistance program. And then we are involved, of course, in labor negotiations, a number of previous, I don't remember, it was 5-year, 3-year contracts are up with 4 employee groups, so we're in negotiations. Hopefully to renew for another 3 years. Those. Next meeting is 24 June, and that's my report.
Thank you. We have no other committee reports. We're now at director's comments. Message with any director comments? Director MMR?
Well, we'll probably meet on July 2nd for committee meetings, but everyone have a happy 4th of July.
Oh, yeah, you too.
That's right.
Director Cortez?
Oh, I just wanted to highlight Antonio and his coworkers who came and joined him and his kids. I thought that was a really great way to see how the district has grown and that you have youth and knowledgeable youth in the team. And so I really like that balance. And so I said it earlier, but it's really important. So I like that. And also to Mary and all the work that she did. I think you're absolutely right. You know, sometimes we have difference makers in our team, and I think she's one of those. So yeah.
Concur. Director Moore?
So, Paula, there was a question I'm supposed to ask Mr. Hobbs. I hope you'll remember to remind me what that question is afterwards. And I just want to say, day after tomorrow, happy Juneteenth.
Yes.
Very appropriate holiday for the city of Marina, of the Peninsula cities. Thank you.
Vice President Schreiner.
Very nice. Well, after going through Prop 218 processes that were nearly like being keel hauled back in the day, and then budget processes through FORA, which was nearly as brutal, I just want to say I'm really amazed that this staff attempted things simultaneously, like strategic planning, budget process, Prop 218. What else? Bond papers. Did I miss anything? I mean, it's just been an amazing time. And while some of us were vacationing and floating around in warm water, all that work was going on. And it really paid off. I mean, all those meetings that led up to tonight, and I'm sure we'll hear more reverberations from some of the public that we just heard from tonight, but I'm just amazed that that all of that actually timed out and took place. And that just really shows the depth, I think, of integrity and hard work that this staff has, and the teamwork, like everybody trying to work together to make that happen. So I just want to highlight that for a moment, celebrate that, if you will, because there's not nearly enough celebrations in the world. Well, you did it. I mean, the staff did it, and it was amazing. Thank you.
I would echo what all of you have said about our staff, and thank you for taking the time to really call out Mary publicly. Invaluable, agree. But I also want to thank all of our board of directors who really took to heart the challenge of a 218 process, the challenge of our clients, our customers who are often on restricted budgets or have their budget needs that don't always extend to I can pay more for my water and sewer services. And that I think with the input from staff, but every one of you also intook that information and did a fantastic job of really trying to balance what is necessary for the district with an eye of equity and an eye of fairness. And I saw that in all of you, and I'm very proud to be part of a team that was able to do that, to come to a consensus of a work product that got fed to us, but we were able to work with it and all be in agreement with it. So thank you, because I value that immensely from all of you. So thank you. That's my comment. Okay, nobody else has anything else? we're adjourned. I will be here tomorrow, Tuesday, June 18th at 5. And then our regular meeting is Monday, July 15th at 6.
That means I gotta change childcare. I gotta pick them up earlier.